When I was a kid growing up in the late 80s and early 90s,
Watch it, buddy!
even amongst the cartoony platformers like Chippendale Rescue Rangers or Mega Man 2, there were harmless, family-friendly games I owned as a child that traumatized me to no end. These games may have looked cutesy and harmless on the outside, but lurking on the inside of that family-friendly code lied traumatic moments. In this video, I'm going to relive some of those traumatic moments with you.
Daddy!
Yeah, we're alright.
But first, a word about this video's sponsor, Rocket Money. Growing up in the 90s, we watched a lot of cable TV. And we didn't even have the internet back in those days, so the idea of on-demand streaming services was completely foreign to us. These days, we're living in the age of streaming, and I've signed up for so many services that I don't even know what I'm being charged for. Thankfully, today's sponsor, Rocket Money, is here to help. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you cancel subscriptions, lower your monthly bill, and manage your money better. Rocket Money safely and securely identifies recurring charges and cancels unwanted subscriptions for you. You can even cancel from within the app with just a couple of taps. No need for any unwanted customer service calls. I'm also using Rocket Money to lower my bills. Simply by uploading a photo of your bill and tapping a few buttons, Rocket Money will negotiate your bills for you, from internet service to cable and phone bills. Rocket Money has helped save its customers up to $740 a year when they use all the app's premium features, with over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. To save more and spend less, join the over 5 million members using Rocket Money today. The truth is, guys, I've been using Rocket Money for years, well before they ever approached me for this sponsorship. I love the service, and I think you will too. Go to rocketmoney.com/retrolife or click the link in the description to get started for free. You can also unlock more features with premium. That's rocketmoney.com/retrolife to get started for free. Thank you, Rocket Money, for sponsoring today's video. All right, let's start things off with an unsuspecting and harmless looking game. Innocent, right? Bubble Bobble. You'd think that Bubble Bobble was completely innocent, right? Well, you'd be wrong. I'll tell you what, when I first experienced this game in April of 1990, I was 4 years old, visiting my cousins Manny and Mikey, and Mikey in particular introduced me to this game, and I loved it. We played Bubble Bobble so much while I was visiting that my dad actually captured some footage of us playing it back then in 1990.
Handyman! There's a handyman!
No! Archie!
With bread? That's all with bread? I bet the whole time you were there.
Bananas!
Popcorn?
Bananas.
You'd think in this moment that there's nothing wrong here. There's absolutely nothing going on. It's a cute game with very fun music. Look at these little cute little dinosaur characters that blow bubbles. They're green and blue and everything's so colorful with bubbles floating around everywhere. You'd think there's nothing wrong with this game. You'd be wrong. You'd be dead wrong, my friends. No, that's because if you ever let a stage have too much time transpire while you're playing and trying to eliminate all the enemies on the screen, you will be very shocked and surprised to find your harbinger of death waiting for you if the time runs up. Whenever that sound effect would happen on the game, oh my gosh, I'd get goosebumps, my blood would start to just like, I would just start to freak out. It was the sign that I was gonna die really soon. This ghost, this ghoulish figure was gonna come after me, and he can't be stopped. You can't hurt this ghost character that comes after the time runs up. And the screen even flashes hurry up on the screen, and it's like, oh my gosh, time is of the essence. And oh, it would scare me. I would drop the controller, I would run. I still, to this day, if I'm playing Bobble, I will still have some PTSD. I'm telling you, whenever that time, I make sure I play this game good, because I don't want that timer to expire, and I don't want to see that ghoul ghost character come after me. Really, Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo was the start of a new type of level, a new type of stage in a Mario game that would go on to continue to scare me and traumatize me as a kid. What I'd like to bring to your attention are the ghost houses. These ghost houses were first introduced in Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo. And just look at me when I'm a little kid here playing Super Mario World. I have not a care in the world. There's nothing but joy written on my face as I play through that first stage of Super Mario Brothers. My mom and dad surprised me with that game and the Super Nintendo on launch day. It was one of the happiest days of my life. But little did I know, lurking around the corner was the first ghost house I was going to encounter. And guys, the first time I got to that ghost house and I encountered that door that opens with that scary music at the mansion, at the house, you go in there and you think it's just going to be like another level, but this really spooky music starts playing. And it's like the scariest music that had thus been introduced in the Super Mario Brothers series at this point. I remember being a small child and just feeling really apprehensive. I did not like haunted houses when I was a little kid. I was petrified by them. I remember not wanting to play the level. I remember asking my dad to play it for me. Do it for me. I don't want to go through this. And to make matters worse, the ghost houses inside are just creepy because there's so many hidden doors. And those boos they'll come after you when you turn your back on them. And the big boo. When I first encountered the big boo, I was like, oh man, get me out of here. Don't underestimate the ghost house in Super Mario games, because when I was a kid, those things terrified me. Now, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, right? I mean, come on. I adore that movie. I love it so much. And the video game, you'd think there's nothing in this game that's going to scare young Tyler, right? When I was 5 years old, what you got, Roger Rabbit running around, you've got the weasels, everything is so, very faithful to the movie. You know what used to really scare me in Who Framed Roger Rabbit? To the point where I would just drop the controller and run away and ask my mom or dad to do it for me or figure it out for me. It was the moment the weasels come on the screen. You'll just be walking around, minding your own business. You, Eddie Valiant, Roger Rabbit, you're walking around Toontown or Hollywood, and you're just trying to find the clues and go to these different buildings and figure out how to progress through the game. And you think everything's fine and dandy when all of a sudden you hear a siren go off. And lo and behold, the Toon Patrol, the weasels, are out to get you. If they catch you, you have to answer a riddle or a joke in order to get freed from their grasp. You have to answer these questions. When I was a kid, when I was small and like 5 years old, I didn't know how to read. And, you know, the weasels got Roger Rabbit by the throat. And there was something about this segment and this moment that used to scare me so much. And I'm going to show a little bit of the footage that my dad captured that basically summarizes everything I just told you. My fear caught on tape.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw the guy went to throws me when he throws the baseball.
Oh, yeah?
I died.
Count it. Get that passcode.
Okay.
You're almost doing it.
I do it. Ah.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Who would even think that Who Framed Roger Rabbit would be a game that was traumatic for me? Sonic the Hedgehog. Now you're probably looking at the screen and you're probably like, Tyler, come on. Were you just like some scared kid or something? Like, what are these games scaring you for? I mean, I was a sensitive kid. I was. But, and I was sheltered to an extent. But guys, there is a moment in the original Sonic the Hedgehog that you got to admit, I know I can't be the only one out there that found this moment scary and traumatic. A harmless video game, right? Sonic the Hedgehog, one of the most beloved games of all time. The game that put Sega on the map here in the US and made them a household name. To this day, Sonic the Hedgehog thrives, and yet, beware 5-year-olds out there.
Anna, what was wrong?
I'm talking, of course, about the moment when you start to run out of air underwater. Oh man, this is to this day where I'm like, ugh, I gotta go through Labyrinth Zone now. And it's the underwater segments that become so scary. I could play it today and I wouldn't be scared. I know how to get through the stage rather well, but you go back to 1991 and you talk to 5-year-old Tyler about his experience with Sonic the Hedgehog in the underwater stage. Oh man, he'll tell you a different story. That's because if you're underwater and you don't get those air bubbles in quick enough fashion, if you don't get them fast enough, you're going to start seeing a counter appear on the screen. This isn't a counter that's there to, lightfully tell you, hey, everything's okay, you've got a little bit of time. No, it's telling you you're gonna die, Sonic. You're about to die soon. You're gonna drown underwater. And man, if it isn't enough, they start playing, if you don't get that air bubble, they start playing that really freaky music. That music is the music of it's like the last sound you're going to hear before you die as, Sonic the Hedgehog. But my gosh, guys, whenever that would play, I would just start freaking out. I would drop the controller. I don't know if I'd run out of the room, but man, it gave me so much anxiety and it was traumatizing when I was a kid. I would dread getting to this part of the game because I didn't want to hear that music. I didn't want to hear the sound of Sonic's impending doom. And really, I know I can't be the only one. I know that there's probably a lot of you watching right now nodding your head and smiling, and you're like, yep, I'm totally right there with you, man. lot of these instances and a lot of the games and stories and situations I just told all of you is that so much of it and my childhood trauma with these games had to do with the time running out, or something random and out of nowhere happening, and somebody's after you, somebody's chasing you, there's an imminent threat and you don't have control. As a kid, I felt helpless in these moments, and these things scared me. But these were harmless games. These were games with cutesy, cartoony protagonist characters, games based on movies that were Disney movies, in one instance with the Roger Rabbit. Even in their innocence, they weren't all that innocent, were they? It's so funny to look back and kind of laugh at it now. You gotta laugh now, right? In the moment, though, I was not laughing. And maybe you were just like me and you weren't laughing either. I want to hear about it in the comments. Let me know down below if any games back then when you were a kid brought you to tears, made you run screaming out of the room. But maybe the games were harmless. Maybe it was nothing more than your overactive imagination. I want to hear about those moments. Please let me know. And if this is your first time to the channel, do consider subscribing. I love talking about my game crazy family and all the amazing adventures we had with video games, so many of which were caught on tape by my dad. All right, guys, that's it. I'll catch you next time.